bids are in. The gavel's dropped. Ladies and gentlemen, here at WineBid, we are finally hammered. That's right. This is WineBid's podcast dedicated to all things wine value, wine retail, wine auctions, and just wine. My name is Jeff Gurn on the WineBid marketing team. With me, as always, is Paul Walker, our wine expert. You can tell he's a wine expert because he has that poster in the background is actually one that they only give out to wine experts.
That's the only reason.
That's how you know.
That's how you know. Reason you'd never want to say that.
That's right.
Not an expert. Well, Jeff's our resident wine investment expert. I always like.
If you're looking to invest in your stomach and having an amazing time with wine, then I'm your man. We are going to be talking today. We're going to be talking about the wine auction recently happened. We're having our wine auction. It's our wine auction recap episode for this week. Let's dive right into it. And let's talk about some of the stuff that got a lot of action. Right at the top is a 1977. You may not be familiar with this particular producer, this negociant, Louis Jadot, Chambois Musigny.
Oh, you're firing right out the gate. You're just calling them a negociant. You're not even saying producer, you're just going straight to
I said producer and then I said negociant. I mean, okay, you think, I mean,
they do own a bunch of vineyard property and they sell, wines made from those vineyards. So
I understand
they're not just
that.
brokers.
I understand they're brokers. I said producer, negociant.
You said negociant. You just said
I said producer. No, I said
there's always
first.
a level of pretense whenever people mention Louis Jadot. It's really funny. And it can be an indicator of their, the scope of their knowledge if they like to sort of
they make some great wines.
Speak the name in certain tones. Anyway,
even
continue.
Even the negociant stuff, even their village level wine. I don't know. Even their more affordable.
No, they did.
Bottles are still pretty good.
They make a lot of cheap Auger, which is not great, but a lot of the Premier Cru and Grand Cru vineyards are incredible. There's really,
some
really
accessible
good
stuff. Well, we had a 77 Louis Jadot Chambois Musigny that started at $30 and got 10 bids. 10 bids to sell
$30
for $130.
I didn't see this. I would have bid on it too. $30. Wow.
I think I might have bid on it. I don't know. But I mean, it's really not surprising.
No, not at all.
$30.
I wonder. Yeah, I mean, it's in good shape. The ullage is a little low, it's 4 centimeters, but it passed inspection. The color looks great. The label looks fantastic.
Well, it's 46 46
Yeah,
the color looks fantastic.
But $30, that's just kind of, that's just like a slanderous reserve.
I'm like, who set that reserve? Was that you, Paul?
Who are the experts setting the reserves of wine?
The experts setting the reserve of wine. I thought that was really interesting. But talk about low reserves, because I feel like there were a number of low reserves.
You're right.
Auction. The Peter Lauer Reserve 92, Natur 14. Did we mention this one?
It was on my list of recommended. We never get past like France hardly ever these days because there's so much wine coming in. I think we should switch it up and start with other countries like besides France. Anyway, we can talk about that later. But
we'll talk about that later.
This was on my list because the Lauer wines, and actually there's one in this week too, I think I listed. And don't forget, also, our podcast picks are available in an email that goes out. So you will see wines we don't get a chance to mention on the podcast, but something else we can talk about later. However, the Lauer wines, we've talked about them before. I'm pretty sure this is on my list. And we've had any number of different examples of the sparkling wines. And actually, there were three different lots that hammered last night, but then I guess it's been a while. It's been a few years and they never went for this much. They never went for $125 a piece or $135 in one case, actually. So I'm a little surprised. This is definitely a new high for this selection of wines. Of course, there are many, and I'm not familiar with these. I'm not an expert once again, so I can follow how the wine auction. I can follow how the auction performs, but I'm no expert. So
agree to disagree. I've spoken with other listeners of this podcast.
Yeah, they also don't know anything.
They agree you're an expert. We've got this 72 Xavier Vignon Chateauneuf du Pape. This one started at 49 bids.
We definitely mentioned this. We definitely mentioned this because I think I said this is my brother's birth year, and I'm like,
yes, you did.
Challenging vintage in most of the world, and I think maybe somebody knows about this wine because $40, and it already had a couple bids, right? It was like up to 50 or something when we were talking about it last Monday. And now, that's really wild. This bottle also is in amazing condition. It looks like a re-release from the winery.
We were talking about how like the condition definitely did not belie a bottle that was like 51 years old.
No, I know the fill, the capsule, like everything is like really, really good shape.
And it was so, like you said, it looked like this was just printed and slapped on that bottle. It looked,
and it's possible,
absolutely beautiful.
That's possible. It was. It's possible it was something that had just recently been labeled, or within 10 or 20 years too. You never know. So I mean, that's a lot for a 72 Rhone wine period, especially from Chateauneuf. I'm surprised. That's quite a bit.
Let's switch gears here and talk for a second about a new entry into the triple digit rosé club. This 2011 Antiquitera Rosé Erotica Pinot Noir started at $45. We had a conversation about this on the podcast.
We did.
I predicted it would exceed $100.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you said you would drink an entire bottle. Or was it a Magnum? What would you?
I know it wasn't a Magnum. I said I would drink an entire bottle
of 3 liter of Zinfandel, of white Zinfandel in one sitting. If this went above $100,
that's true. I did say that.
I will be holding you to that. Now, I believe the subtext of that was that you would let me pick what Zinfandel you drink. That was the subtext. That was
definitely not subtext.
I would pick the Zinfandel.
You certainly misread.
And I'm going with white Zinfandel.
I'll drink Turley White Zinfandel, no problem.
No. I'm going with white Zinfandel from
maybe Antiquitera makes a white Zinfandel.
Well, I don't know if they do, but I know Franzia does, and that's the one you're going to be drinking. You're drinking a box of it.
Oh boy!
In one sitting.
That will be the end of the podcast.
40, well, we'll wait till the end. 45, started 45, went to 110 after 7 bids.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, are we seeing a new benchmark for Antiquitera Rosé?
I mean, this wine just seems to keep, getting more and more popular every time it comes in the auction. And I think, like you said, the rosé, I want to say we mentioned a bottle of rosé a few weeks ago that was also, I don't know if it was that old. I don't think it was from 2011, but it was maybe 2014 or 15 or something. And anyway, the wine is very, very, it's got obviously a very close following. And this was a surprise to me. I really did not expect that to happen. So serious stuff. I was actually just going to look up prior sales of the rosé from Antiquitera because that's definitely a record. It's never gone for over $100 before. I mean, and it's rare. Crazy. I think we're more likely to see the like various examples of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir than rosé. Yeah, there was so there was a Magnum of Angelical Rosé 14 that went for $260. And then, there was another bottle, Rosé Erotica 11 was last night, and then 17 Angelical Rosé a week ago for 110. So interesting. Same hammer for both bottles, different vintages. But wow. Okay, I didn't know it actually exceeded $100 back in February. I had no idea.
Again, wow. You made a bet, and you're.
I did. I think it's actually electronically recorded because I think it's on a Teams message. So I'm in big trouble. Yeah.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay.
All right. Moving right along. We had this 92 Paul Pernod Pumy Marché.
Yes.
Yes, Flotier. This one started 65. 7Bids took it to 93.
Now, this didn't surprise me that much. I actually thought it was pretty inexpensive. When I saw that reserve, I said, $65, like for Flotier from a very well-respected white producer, it didn't seem crazy to me. I actually surprised it didn't exceed $100. Not the world's greatest vintage, but still, I don't think that's I think that's a decent deal, frankly. I don't think that's a crazy price. I mean, when you look at Lefebvre and all these other examples of Flotier, they're all, hundreds of dollars. So
yeah. We had this another Peter Lauer 7Bids from 40 to 126.
Oh, right. It's the same bottle. Yeah. There were three bottles in last night.
3 bottles in. 2015, Pierre Guillemot, Savigny Serpentier.
Yeah.
That's what I said. We had 2 of them. Start at 45, and 7Bids took them to $61.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Great red vintage. I think in the area of Savigny Le Bon, I think Pierre Guillemot is considered serious stuff. So not something I think is too crazy. And, we'll probably keep going up over time. Domain selection or so.
Before we get to that, can we talk about I don't know if I'm even reading this right, this 2013 Bell Hill Chardonnay screw cap, which...
Oh, I skipped right over that.
Started at 45, sold at $220 a bottle, and there were 6 of them that sold at $220 a bottle after 6 bids.
Yeah, I did not see this at all last week. I feel like it was, I just didn't notice it. So what is this stuff? Did you look it up? I have no idea. I don't know anything about it. Shows how much of an expert I am.
I know not. I mean, it was harvested between April 11th and 18th of 2013. It was bottled in December 15th of 2014. The bricks is 21.1 to 22.3.
Are you just reading the front label?
No, I know. I just memorized all this stuff about wine. I just memorized. Oh, is that on the label? Oh, wow. Okay.
No, where's it? Tell me where it's from before you look it up, because that doesn't say that on the label. Sorry, tell you where what's from? Bell Hill Chardonnay. You're quickly Googling it.
It's from New Zealand, South Island, Canterbury.
Yeah, I've never seen this stuff. And it's weird, right? Because it's got all these scores, which to me is kind of strange that a wine this rare would be this widely scored. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the Spectator gave it, a kind of a low score. Suckling gave it a high score. I mean, how many hundreds of Chardonnays in the world are there that exist that have a big score range like this? That you know what I mean? Like, it has to be a wine that's relatively well distributed to have that many ratings. Does that make sense? I mean, it seems a little bit weird, especially
when you consider they produce 1,400 bottles, and apparently 700 of those bottles went to critics. Yeah. Exactly. I wonder it's so rare.
Exactly.
They're all going out to critics, apparently.
Yeah, and if you look at quantities in Cellar Tracker, they're pretty limited too, right? So people have definitely heard about it, and there's ratings, but and also external hammers, I should add. From a couple of years ago, were somewhere around $75-$80. So,
if
serious stuff.
If you subtract all the consumed bottles on Cellar Tracker and everything they sent to critics, it's got to be below 1,000 left.
Exactly. That's a new cult favorite I've never heard of. That's cool.
I mean, it's definitely to be on my radar here.
Yeah. I definitely want to try it.
I'm kind of disappointed I didn't get to bid on a bottle. $45 seem reasonable. $220. Wow.
$220. Yeah, that's.
But if you look at at retail, I mean, granted, everything says nothing's in stock, but it looks like their Pinots are around 100, 110, 120. So I don't know. And Wine Searcher average on this bottle is 161. Well, I guess it's from April 2021, and it's got 5 stars on Wine Searcher from one user. At least one person really liked it. And then we've got this, and by the way, someone had a case of 6, which that must have been difficult to get with so few in circulation. Well, I mean, we sold six of them. So it wasn't like there was just one, right?
Right. Oh, there were six in the lot.
Somebody had a whole case of these, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
'07 Domain and Selection Merceau. This one started at 140. 6 bids took it to 400.
Yes, this is baby Costa Rica, right? That's the thing with this wine.
Well, I believe we talked about it.
I don't think we mentioned this. No,
I thought we did, but maybe we didn't. I thought you mentioned it actually, because I remember us having a whole conversation about baby Costa Rica. Maybe it wasn't on the podcast, but I believe you and I had some conversation about baby Costa Rica. I mean, $400 for baby Costa Rica, not a terrible deal, I suppose, if you really want to know what Costa Rica tastes like. But
yeah, that's true.
The big bucks.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, again, I should find somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. But the fruit is potentially from Costa Rica's vineyard, but I don't know this for sure. I know that it states on the label that, it was made and bottled at JF Costa Rica's property. But Jean-Francois, who's now retired, I think kids are making the wine now, but this is obviously from '07. So I'm curious as where the fruit comes from. It potentially is from state vineyards, but I don't know for sure.
If you look online, there are some writing about this that says this is a negociant label bottling of Costa Rica's Merceau. And that's fruit
that presumably Jean-Francois purchased and then sold. Domain Selection could sell it, right? But we don't know where we don't really know where the source is.
Well, I mean, ostensibly, what I think I'm reading is that Domain Selection bought it from Costa Rica and bottled it as Domain Selection and sold it.
I see. So, okay,
that's what I think this indicates. But this is also just some writing on the internet.
So Domain Selection is essentially
you really should believe everything you read on the internet, is what I say. As a marketer, you should believe everything you read on the internet. It's safe to believe. But yes, negociant label bottling of Costa Rica's Merceau. That would indicate to me that it was bought by Domain Selection from his estate property.
Okay, right. Interesting. And it's probably a blend of different vineyards too. It's probably selections of Premier Cru Village vineyards, I would imagine. Maybe fruit that he didn't want for his labels or something like that.
Or it's, some of his Grand Cru that he just wanted to sell for giggles.
First of all,
maybe he lost a bet. Maybe he said a bottle of rosé wouldn't go.
There's no Grand Cru Merceau vineyards. Don't forget.
That's right. Don't forget. Never mind.
That's your first mistake.
Maybe it's all Premier Cru, and he lost a bet and had to sell it to Domain Selection.
Well, it is old vine, so it's not going to be super newly planted fourth vintage or third vintage or something fruit. So anyway, moving on.
It's interesting.
We're really crawling through the auction.
Man,
today.
You're making this take forever. 1997 Hess Collection.
Hey, I recommend this. I said great deal. $20 bottle of Cabernet from Hess Collection. It's not the second or third label. It's like the first label, or
even at 65, I feel like that's still a pretty good deal, right? Yeah. For the age on it.
Yeah, no. Hess Collection from the 90s is great. I love it. I think the 92 got really, really big scores, but all those kind of early mid 90s wines they're excellent. That's not a surprise.
Let's head over to the heavy hitters, shall we?
Sure. Yeah.
03 Latour 12 bottle lot wood case. So for $8,700. An 09 6 bottle lot OWC of Lafite hammered after two bids, hammered at $5,175. And then 09 Cheval Blanc 6 bottle lot with OWC sold for $5,160. So basically, we've got these OWCs of First Growth Bordeaux that are leading the pack last week. And then, a little bit behind, 80 Jaillet Echezot hammered at $39.75, followed by an 80 Jaillet Echezot, which hammered $39.75. So basically, 2 bottles of Jaillet, and then an 89 Petrus hammered for $3,800. And I believe we still have a couple of those. We still have a couple of those in auction.
Yeah, I think this bottle in particular was the one we mentioned that was new last week. It was only up for 1 week. So that got grabbed quickly.
Some 2016 Harlan 3-bottle lot OWC sold for $3,000 after 2 bids, sold for $3,085. And then a 6-liter of 76 Mouton, nice party bottle here, sold for $3,080.
That's right. Did you see your 81 Lemission still available, Joe? So you can
still available.
Still bid on that 6-liter of 81 Lemission.
I'm going to wait until it comes down a bit before I swoop in.
You sound like a common buyer.
a common buyer. Exactly. I am.
Wait for it to drop.
I'm your everyday man. How long until it gets down to like under 500?
Never.
Couple years. I'm never gonna die. 2010 Screaming Eagle Sauvignon Blanc.
Can't go a week without mentioning this wine.
Can't go a week without mentioning.
Now it seems to be like the 2010 specifically too. Like that vintage keeps coming back.
I mean, that must be a particularly good, vintage of Sauvignon Blanc from Screaming Eagle. I hear 2010 was fantastic for Sauvignon Blanc in Napa. That's what I heard.
It's fantastic. I'm sure.
Growing conditions and when it rained and the soil, I don't know. But 2010 was the year. And then 03 Latour 3-liter for $3,000. That's right, folks. It's $1,000 per liter for that 03 Latour. And then a 05 Sauvignon Catard Romani Saint Vivant. 2 bids took it from 2,700 to 28.
Yeah, this is a rare bottle. I believe it's the only Grand Cru that Sylvain Catard makes, and it's very, very serious wine. Not often seen in auction. It's kind of like Dujac Romani Saint Vivant. It's not one of those bottles you'll see very, very regularly. And so I think 2 bids on that too to 2,800. I mean, that's serious price. There was a nice collection of Catard, some of which I think is left over. There was a mag of 99 Malconsor, which is pretty amazing. But the Romani Saint Vivant that's a rare bird.
By the way, did you notice? Well, I believe I mentioned this 99 3-liter of Cristal. I think I mentioned it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I want to say. But nice party bottle. This one sold for $2,000. But the one that I thought was super interesting was this 1969 Heights Martha's Vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon that had 2 bids taken from $1,000 to $1,920.
Interesting. Yeah, I mentioned this wine actually last week for sure. Because it was one of my picks because it's we talked about
we've seen some 69 cabs that fetch a pretty penny.
Yeah, so I think Heights Martha's looks like a deal in comparison to Chapelet. So, and I'm sure it's excellent. I'm sure it's fantastic. It was a great vintage. Great vintage.
You look at it. It last sold in August for $1,020. So you're talking a $900 premium on its last sale. Who knows? Maybe people are seeing the performance of the Chapelet and saying now's the time to buy 69 Napa cabs. I don't know. I'm not an investment expert, so it's hard for me to say.
I thought you were. I thought that was your title.
That's what you said. You said that. I said nothing of the sort. I'll stop there. Was there anything else you wanted to mention, Paul?
No, I think, there was some interesting stuff. Like I said, there was some other Catard wine that was pretty incredible. 01 Malconsor, a couple of those, I think sold for $755, somewhere in there. And then
there were a lot of like large format, I feel like, that sold. Like a lot of large format, a lot of OW like cases. 94 flat Flaggate, 12 bottle, 6 bottle Synconon, 3 bottle Promontory, mag of 05 Aubryon, 2 bottle, 2 mags of 100 Acre, mag of 010 Mouton, mag of 05 Harlan, 6-liter of 79 Mondavi. Just like a lot of large formats.
Serious stuff. Yeah.
Very serious stuff.
Good wines all around. And there was, what else? Oh yeah, some of that Bono, I think I mentioned there was Bono Celestin 05, which did get bid up a couple times. I think it started at 505, got bid up close to 600. That's kind of interesting to see that kind of continue to get pushed up. What else? Nothing too wild. Oh, there was we mentioned, I think last week, maybe the week before, there was some bonds from '01 that sold right away. I noticed there was also 99 bond Vicina in last week that started at 275 and got bid up to 325. So even older vintages of bond have been getting more and more traction these days. There was a time where they were going for less than cost on the mailing list, and now they're getting pushed up quite a bit. So that's interesting to see. But yeah, that was pretty much rounds it out. I'm sure we're missing some other interesting things, but there's always all kinds of special stuff in every week. So
too much to fit into one podcast.
Yes.
And with that, folks, Paul Walker and Jeff McGurn signing off, wishing you happy bidding and cheers.
Cheers.